Thanks everyone for joining us for this look ahead at TV's future, which we're streaming live to you using the NewTek TriCaster. I am Shira Lazar of What's Trending, a live rundown of what's hot in online video, produced and streamed to YouTube 5 days a week on a TriCaster. We have an amazing audience. Yes, we actually do. And we have like a few hundred people watching outside too, and all of you online, so thank you. We have our first member of our panel coming out in just a moment. Kevin Smith is the writer-director of several popular films, including the forthcoming miniseries Hit Something. He's also the creator of the SModCo internet TV channel on YouTube. Not to mention, Jay and Silent Bob's groovy cartoon movie coming up. Can't wait for that one. Here's a clip from his AMC reality show, Comic Book Men.
All right, let me put it out there. Zombie apocalypse. You become a zombie. Is there anybody that you don't eat?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Can you be a judgmental zombie?
See, to me, like, if I see, like, myself, there's too much blubber. I'm like, I'm not gonna eat that fat, so gross and chewy, the gristle.
I go the other way, man. Like, I could stew you in your own juices. Walt?
I don't eat any humans.
There's a new notion. What do you mean? You go strictly animal diet?
I go strictly animal diet.
See, that's teen zombie right there. That's who girls can fall in love with, an undead boy who she's like, well, sparkly Walt.
And while I'm eating an animal, I still cry when I'm eating it because I know I'm...
You're like the American Indian?
Almost like a vegan zombie.
No, I mean, I know I gotta eat flesh.
All you eat now is chicken.
Yeah, so I'll just hang out on a chicken farm for a while.
I would eat somebody like Ming because he's all lean.
Yeah, but once you eat Ming, an hour later, you want to eat him again.
Give it up for Kevin Smith. Yeah. And you know what? Kevin did not come alone. Hanging out in the audience and taking your questions live for our panelists. It's the star of Clerks, Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, and the indie gaming competition comedy Noobs. It's Jason Mewes. Tweet us your questions or comments on our panel with the hashtag Future of TV, and maybe, you know, Jay will ask them live on our stream, won't you, Jay?
I will. I have one question already.
Bring it on. Sure. Let's start the interactivity now.
Let's do it now, right? Kevin, what online shows do you watch regularly?
What do I watch on the reg? Lord, I don't know. I'll be honest with you, because I probably
Honesty,
should.
authenticity.
This is total integrity. I've fallen into a period of prolificacy, which means like I don't watch anything. I haven't consumed anything in a while. Right now, I've been consuming kind of probably for the first 10 years prior to this last year. The last year, maybe 2, I haven't been watching much, so I'm way behind on stuff. That's only because when you make as many podcasts as we do and you do as much as we're doing, it's tough to actually sit down and watch somebody else's thing. So I discover stuff later on. I was just talking to Lisa Kudrow, telling her, like, I loved The Comeback, which was an HBO show that I didn't see when it was on HBO.
Yeah.
Wasn't it amazing? I loved it, and I didn't see it when it was on HBO. I caught up with it like 2 years later and stuff. So right now I'm in one of these periods where I don't watch like anything. I try to produce as much as I can.
Well, it's hard, and I experience the same thing when you're although I do curate what's hot, so I have to watch everything.
Yeah, you bet. You can't say what I just said.
It's hard when you're constantly creating to be watching and consuming. There's a separation this day and age.
Absolutely. And when I say creating, I'm not saying that it's all good. In fact, a lot of it's not very good. But I'm just in a period where it's like, I got a bunch to say, and there's a bunch on my head and heart, and I want to spit it all out while there's a moment to say it. And then when I'm done saying, I will kick back, smoke weed, watch all the stuff I've missed for the last 5 years and stuff. Right now, I'm just smoking weed and producing
That's
things.
what I was going to say. You're doing the opposite right now.
That too. I made a promise to myself a long time ago that I would never just sit there, smoke weed, and kick back and watch stuff. I couldn't veg. If I was going to pick up weed at age 38, I'd have to be productive with it. And I think that's why I don't watch things, because I love smoking weed so much. Because of that promise I made, like I get up and I go like, do I want to watch a program? Do I want to smoke weed? And if I smoke weed, that means I got to create something. And I always go like, fuck it, I'll smoke weed. And so I wind up doing that and being creative. So it's weirdly productive and non-productive at the same time.
I see a new movie here about the guys that smoke weed and do productive things.
I'm going to write a book about it. I'm going to crack that code and give it out to people.
So you and Snoop, you're going to raise the bar on Snoop.
There is something to be said for productive stoner activity. This town particularly is full of, that was passed on to me by Seth Rogen. I couldn't believe that someone could smoke weed and be productive. And that dude was like insanely talented being productive. It didn't make him more creative. It just kind of helped him chart things and be productive. So once I saw what he could do with it, I was like, maybe there's something to this. So there's a bunch of us, man.
Wow,
you know,
you've like
we've
a
been
club.
body snatched. It's weird. Pod people, if you will.
So how do you find inspiration for all the content you do? Because you have
Aren't
podcasts,
you listening? I smoke a
do
ton of weed, man. What part of this? Yes. The inspiration to do that stuff, honestly, I reached middle age, and I think it has everything to do with I see the end more than I see the beginning anymore. And as I, you know, and again, I'm thinking long term. You got to always plan long term. Although the way I live, my body image and stuff, I probably won't make it as long as I want to, but I always hope that I'll get to 80 and stuff like that. But if I don't, I want to be able to say and do as much as I can before it all ends. We were doing this online show for Hulu called Spoilers, and we had Jon Favreau on and he, I think, summed it up best. He was like, look, when you get to the theme park, you just want to ride every ride possible before they lock the gates. And that to me is true. Like I've been in movies for a while, and that's great. I love it to death. Movies was my first love, but I started using it like an ATM. You know what I'm saying? Like that was how I made my living. So it used to be my passion. I would have done it for free. I would have sucked your dick to do it, not yours, but whoever's.
I appreciate it.
But now that we're on cable, we could say that. No, online, we could curse, right? Kind of.
Yeah,
a little bit.
Oh yeah,
I'll
I was
take
gonna
that
say
back.
balls. I mean, I have balls though. I have cojones.
You do. I've seen them. So back then, like it was like I was so passionate. I was like, if I don't do this, I'll just die. And then one day it becomes your career, and you're like, if I don't do this film, I'll just do another one because that's what I get paid to do. And so I started taking my passion, the thing that gave me everything in life, introduced me to my wife, and I had a kid with her. It took me from like a convenience store in New Jersey to like around the world. And suddenly I was using it like an ATM or a prostitute. Like, hey, I need money to pay my bills. Hey, I got to pay the mortgage.
Well, just you get given all these options. You're like, yeah, sure, why not do it? Here's the
I'm not.
contract.
I don't know who you think you're talking to. I'm giving no options whatsoever.
No,
seriously.
I mean,
like,
right now you did have film, then you now have a TV show, you have your podcast, you have YouTube.
Yeah.
Is that because you just decided to
But all
go there
that
and
stuff
create
is either free or I don't get paid insanely much to do it. Like as long as you're willing to drop your price to zero, people will let you do some things. But generally speaking, people will come to me and go like, you know how it's working out for J.J. Abrams? We're gonna give you some money as well. Like he's the guy who's got a bunch going on and he gets paid for every project. Sometimes in order to find that thing that you will get paid for eventually, you got to do a bunch of cool stuff for nothing.
Yeah.
And that's also that's where the best work's going to be because you're so passionate about it. You don't give a crap if you make
Well,
money.
isn't that where Clerks came from? And
Yeah,
then
that's what I did. I went
propelled
back
you.
to that formula. It's like I thought about it like after I'd been in the business, I think about 12, 15 years, I was like, I'm in a business. I didn't want to be in a business. It used to be about something else. And I was like, well, what brought me here? And it was experimentation. It was following my heart. It was like saying all the things that I wanted to say. And so instead of like, hey, what are they doing? Hey, Judd Apatow is successful doing a type of movie I used to do. Maybe I'll do that again and stuff. Rather than do that, ape somebody, aping me, aping myself became kind of redundant and masturbatory. I decided to break with that and just do other stuff. So the podcasts were free, the YouTube stuff, of course, is for free. All that stuff, sometimes you do it just to see what the next thing's going to be, just to see what the next 5 years are going to be. Like the podcasts, to me, are amazing. I sat down with my friend Scott Mosier, started recording SModCast. That led to my friends Brian and Walter doing a podcast called Tell 'em Steve Dave. Tell 'em Steve Dave turned into Comic Book Men on AMC. So the whole notion of my friends sitting around just being themselves and talking, somebody was like grafted that personality onto a show that wound up on a network that I actually watch that runs The Walking Dead, Mad Men, Breaking Bad, all the stuff I love. Suddenly I had a show on that network simply because my friends sat around talking about
But that wouldn't have happened if you hadn't had your podcast. So it all still connects, and I feel traditional media now is trying to latch on to that because that has helped you build your community.
Yeah, I got lucky again because traditional media is trying to latch on to what new media is doing. Just recently, just the other day, we shot this Fox project. I don't know if it'll go beyond pilot stage,
It's
but
okay,
if it
just
does,
tell us more. Break some news here. You know,
I will.
Deadline,
I mean, it's been in the
the
Hollywood Reporter and stuff, like when they announced it, but it was a really cool idea. It was a variety show where instead of doing like one sitcom or doing pilots for 4 sitcoms or 5 sitcoms, they had 4 or 5 of us do these one-act plays, essentially, like a 6 or 7 minute sitcom. They called it a short com. So it was called the Fox Short Com Comedy Hour or something like that. Craig Robinson was the host. He was fantastic with his band. I was one of the people, Dove Davidoff, who else was it? Michael Costa, Neil Brennan, and Ali Wong. So each one of us kind of were given a chance to create like a mini sitcom. And the idea behind it, when I sat down with Fox, they were like, look, it's tough to take a sitcom, a 22-minute sitcom, make it viral. But you could take a 6-minute sitcom and make that viral, and at the same time,
Interesting. So
show
they're thinking
people
about
how
how
to
they're
build
going to
shows.
distribute online within the show now. That's
And also just knowing that the entertainment never ends. Like the show begins before the show begins now, because you're always trying to provide content for everybody, and because there's always a minuscule or kind of a niche channel to fill. You could shoot the production of, like, think about it, this is just the development process. Like, they would do this usually in quiet, like we'll produce 4 or 5 pilots, and then we'll decide internally to what goes on the network. But with that short-com thing, they're like, hey, everybody watch the process happen. You'll watch the show grow over the course of a couple weeks, like it would be a summer program, and at the end of it, whichever ones they kind of like, they turn into like big sitcoms.
That's a cool idea.
It's such a
I
neat
like
idea.
that.
That's why it probably won't happen, because it's so like forward thinking and different. But we had such a blast doing it, and they had their mind on new media as well as old media. They keep going like, how do we get the attention that new media gets? How, you know, you get 4 or 5 million downloads on YouTube for something like Red and Blue that Burnie's got here. Like, that's something that's even a network is jealous about. Like, oh my God, I would kill for those numbers.
Yeah.
So they seem to be turning back to the YouTube audience. I've had a lot of people for TV projects I've worked on be like, hey man, why don't you bring this cat in, they're all YouTube stars.
Wait, so
'cause
they're
like,
expecting
they'll
you to
talk
be
you.
like, bring them in now?
To whore out these YouTube kids, pimp them out, like come on, like sell them out like sex traffickers. I can't do it. Especially when it's like you talk to the YouTube kids and like, dude, I don't need television, because if I could pull 10 million hits, 10 million hits, what do I need TV for? I make money off of YouTube money. Like, you know, you talk to the dude Harley from Epic Mealtime, and he kids around, he calls it, I want that fat YouTube money, but that exists now. That's real, man. YouTube money is real.
It is. Yeah.
I left you stumped on that one, Shira. You're just
Well,
like,
I'm just looking
YouTube
at
money
Jay.
is real and I'm missing out on it. Yeah, it's real.
We're flowing in cash right now. You know, I was going to be like, I'm going to go to the fan chat right now. Jay Mewes.
You want me to ask? Okay, here's another question here. Do you think there will be more TV shows like My Little Pony that will explode on the
My Little
interwebs?
Pony? Someone
My
needs to
Little
bring
Pony.
that back.
They're saying it exploded or something. It's back, right? I think it's back, they're saying.
She's playing a joke, dude.
Friendship is Magic is back, actually.
You love
Being
that.
told.
So wait,
Do you
the
watch
question
that?
is, are there still going to be cartoons that capture people's
Do you think
imagination?
there'll be more shows
No,
like
that ends right now. Of course. There will always be cartoons that like one pops, one doesn't. My Little Pony had so much going for it because it already had an audience kind of built in from childhood.
Yeah.
It was a revisitation. The revisitation is brilliant and funny and it's full of personality. And so, you know, it goes beyond who people would think the core audience is, little girls, and appeals to everybody. It's like the Powerpuff Girls was like 10 years ago. It was a cartoon that appealed to like everybody, not just little kids and stuff. So I think there'll be lots of opportunity for, you know, a cartoon to take off. Was there more to that question, or was
Yeah,
it just
like-
that?
No, that was it
dumb?
from Cheeseman. But here's another one. Would you consider doing Clerks online? I thought
Yeah.
that was a good
Oh
one.
my God, that is
Yeah.
a great question. Yeah, and I've thought about stuff like that. Back when I was trying to figure out how to do Clerks 3 to make it interesting for me, because that's the thing. It ain't gonna be interesting for anybody else unless I'm like, oh my God, this is the thing that I'm most in love with right now.
you have to really care to do it again.
Absolutely. So I was trying to figure out ways to kind of recreate it and make it interesting rather than just simply doing a movie and stuff. At one point I thought about doing it on Broadway, and I was like, we could do it as a limited run, man, 6 months. And then somebody was like, if you do a 6-month Broadway run, you will never make money. In fact, you'll lose people money. I was like, well, I didn't know that. So that went away. One of the things I talked about was doing it episodically online, which, you know, would be kind of fun for me. It'd be a way for me to get away from doing it with the studio. And then I thought about doing it that way, but marrying it with something else. So I think what I'm going to do, I haven't talked about this yet, so I'll give it to you.
Thank you.
I want to do Clerks 3 as a book first. I want to do it in episodic chapters. So
Okay.
that as I release it, people can read the whole thing, see what it would look like. I get to go inside the characters' heads. I get to tell year one origin stories. The first chapter is Dante and Randall meeting in kindergarten and stuff like that. All the stuff that I can't do in a movie, because that's what I want to do. I'm a stoner, so I want to investigate the inner life of every character.
Yeah.
And I can't do that in 90 minutes where people are like, you make some fucking Star Wars film jokes, some dick jokes, and then move the fuck on. So in a book, I could get in there and really be artistic with it and have fun with it and stuff. And if I'm doing it in pieces, man, as opposed to just writing one big fat book, I'll be honest with you, the audience is going to influence it as I read each chapter.
Interesting,
And
yeah.
I know a lot of people will be like, well, that's ridiculous. It should be your artistic statement. But my whole thing, my leitmotif, my entire career has been about audience interactivity. Without the audience, none of that Clerks stuff that leads to me sitting here with you ever happens. So for me to kind of write it episodically and let people read it chapter by chapter and then pipe in and say like, oh man, I can't believe it's this, it could actually allow me to change direction. And again, I know there are a lot of people out there going like, why would you want to? You're an artist. Well, now I'm a new media artist, and the new media artist involves the audience, and that's something I've been doing for like nearly 20 years at this point anyway. And it feels like if I'm going to kind of work on something that's not a film, like the film will be the ultimate expression, I guess, of what Clerks 3 is meant to be. But if I'm working on this kind of book version of it, like the inner life of the mind of the characters and whatnot, I think that'd be fun to be influenced by the audience
really
every step of the way.
And then you could create a video project out of that after.
Maybe, I mean, that was the thing. First I thought about doing it as YouTube, but then I thought maybe I'll do it as a book. And then if I do it and enjoy it as a book, look, the money will always be in doing it as a feature. But if I want to get real creative, yeah, I would break it down and kind of do it online. And I don't know, I think it would catch on because there's enough attention for the first two. People know the characters and stuff. And I've spent so much time online. Can I grab a drink of water? I'm so cotton-mouthed right now. But I don't want to drink yours. That's crazy. I think I would enjoy doing it that way, but I know, that involves everyone else. If I was doing it with, thank you. If I was doing it with myself and puppets, it'd be one thing.
Yeah.
But I got to do it with like Brian O'Halloran, Jeff Anderson, Jason Mewes over there, so everyone gets a say. And a lot of them, I'm sure, would be like, let's do it where the money is, man, which would be doing it as a movie. So you're always kind of struggling between your commerce and your art when you're one of these people getting paid for your art. And you can't bitch about it because it's a great struggle and a good problem to have. But sometimes there's a pull of like, do it the way you want to, do it wild and free, and then a lot of times there's a pull of like, do it where you can
I think there's a
cover your
structure
bills.
to it. I think the best balance, because we all want to find business models out of this while pursuing our passions.
Yes.
Improving that, right?
That seems to be the business model of the 21st century, and every YouTube kid I've met thus far. Build what you love. Dream, do it, then figure out how to monetize it.
Yeah. All right, well, we're going to go back to Mewes, I know, who's in the chat room, and then we're going to be moving on to our next guest.
All right, this is from Proud Irish Girl. Kevin, what kind of content do you prefer creating? Online, film, radio, comics?
I love doing the podcast stuff, if that counts as radio or something. That to me, online radio or podcasting, is where my head and heart is the most. It's fantastic. You don't have to think about a budget. You don't have to think about lining up schedules, except unless you got more than one person involved in your podcast. But it's not like, hey man, I need you for 6 weeks or I need you for 2 months of your life. We got to talk to your agent and figure out what to pay you, what your perks are. None of that stuff. It's storytelling at its most basic. It takes it back to us sitting around fires and trying to explain adventures we had with as cavemen or cave women or something like that. It takes it way back. Storytelling to its most basic element. Literally telling a story. And as much as I love telling a story with pictures, I was never that good at it, but I love doing it because it's the movies and stuff. And as much as I love telling stories with comics in terms of using the visual image to kind of get an idea across, the idea of sitting down in front of a microphone.
You're a good talker. You do talk.
Yeah,
this guy knows how to talk.
Yeah.
And remember, all of you guys talking online, remember to tweet us with the hashtag FutureOfTV if you have questions at home or in the audience. Tweet us and we will ask those questions. Our next guest became a household name, starring as Phoebe on the classic TV series Friends, and can currently be seen both on the web and on Showtime in the comedy series Web Therapy. Let's take a look.
So I'm sorry to be the one to break this to you. I hope it's not too painful, Fiona, and that you have someone to speak to about this. But the book is really horrid.
No, I'm a therapist. I can speak to myself. But if you do have problems with it, then I think, that's probably, Jerome is to blame. He's my assistant because, he's the one who did the rough draft.
Oh, so you didn't write this?
No, I wrote it. He did the rough draft.
Well, are you familiar with James Frey, the whole incident with a million little pieces? Making up things, having someone else possibly write it. This is a lot of controversy that we could get into, and it is not something that Austin would want to participate in. So
no, I misspoke. When I said rough draft, I meant research. Jerome did the research.
Oh, it sounded like rough draft, that you said rough draft.
I said that. I did, and I misspoke.
Because that would be a problem. If Jerome, did you say? Let me just jot that name down.
Jerome did the research. So
do you have a last name on Jerome?
Sokolov.
Is he a writer of any?
No, he's not at all. I mean, that's why it's so bad. Because of the research that he did. We'll find. I'll go through it, and I will
Please welcome the amazing Lisa Kudrow. Hi. What's up? So happy to have all of you here. It's like a family, right? It's like a family, and it was awesome to see. And funny,
We just met. How is it like a family?
I was surprised, but you've been a fan.
I am a huge
I had to
fan.
Google though before. I was like, I
me
need to
too.
know that there's some fandom going on here because, and I saw you talk about it. You've talked about it at conferences.
I was just talking about before. I saw Lisa did this show on HBO a couple of years ago called The Comeback, which when my wife's with me tonight, when we yes, it's amazing. When we came up on our way here, she was like, "Look, I never go out at night anymore. This is the only reason I'm going this. I just want to say hi to Lisa Kudrow." And the reason is because we spend every night in bed with Lisa Kudrow watching
That's
that
not
show.
awkward at all.
It's not awkward. We take it everywhere.
For me.
It's comfort food. It's like if I go out on the road, that's what I watch at the end of the night. It is so
Really? The
brilliant.
Comeback?
I swear,
Wow, yeah.
so much.
Good.
And then I found this show, and I absolutely love this too. How did that
thanks.
happen? How did you go from a web show to Showtime? This is me helping you.
I love this. No, I'm like, yeah, bring it on. I'll just sit back.
Because it was on the web, and then, you know, people were interested, and we were getting really great people doing it too. And then, you know, our agents just said, well, let's see if it can also be on TV. Let's like try that multi-platform thing. And Showtime was the one, like specifically Gary Levine at Showtime, who said, well, I have seen it. We think it's great. And I've seen it, actually, in my mind, it is a TV show that happens to be on the web. So that was interesting.
The framework of it is genius. Everything about it just
Thanks.
blends with the modern viewer because it looks like your laptop. So as you're watching it, even on a giant, I got a huge big screen TV. You watch it on that, it looks like somebody's open Mac at a certain point. But
Yeah, that's-
it is, the interactivity is great. What I love about it too is it seems like a dream project. Because it
Yeah.
seems like you sit down in front of
Yep.
a camera,
Yeah.
there's your buddy,
Yep.
and you guys go like, we'll
Yeah.
do this, and you just
Oh yeah,
make it
Dan
up
and
and
her,
go.
like
That's
they've been working
exactly.
together and they just did it.
Yeah.
Dan Bukaczynski.
Yeah,
This
and
dude's
Don
genius.
Roos.
And Don
And
Roos,
Don
who you've been
Roos.
working with since back on like The Opposite of Sex and
Right,
stuff
Don
like that.
Roos, who's
And
a
it's,
genius.
So it's a family
we can't
project
forget
for
that
you.
factor.
Yeah, yeah,
I mean,
he's
he knows what he's doing. But yeah, and then whoever comes in, you know, they're there for half a day. So it's not like you were saying when you ask someone to do something, it's like it'll only be half a day.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
and it's improvised.
Yeah.
Oh, so and it's fun. I mean, and then they hear from other people that it's fun and it's okay. So.
But he talked about, you know, the cool feeling of it's like your laptop, this, that. But when you started a few years ago, I mean, I feel like that wasn't the way we were looking at TV, right? We weren't thinking about like internet connected TVs, and we're looking at watching.
No, not TV yet, but I knew it was
But that's
coming.
what's
We'd
cool
heard
about it,
about,
yeah.
you know, like Apple TV and, you know, smart TVs. We knew they were coming, and people we knew, especially, you know, anyone under 30, were not watching TV. They were watching their computer, and if you think about it, that screen is like big enough. It's fine.
Yeah. Considering a lot of us watch our movies like on a phone right now. I'm
Right,
a filmmaker,
yeah,
and whenever I say I watch on my phone, people are like sacrilege. But
So
I'm like,
does
I'm not
Don.
playing. Yeah.
Don watches on his phone. I can't watch on my phone. I can't do that.
Yeah.
But I also appreciate, because I was doing it too, I'm watching shows. You know, because we started web therapy, and I was thinking, okay, it's hilarious that she only does 3-minute sessions, because that's the worst idea in the world. And only an idiot who's trying to take advantage of people on the internet where there are no laws or rules could get away with that. And 3 minutes is good, because that's what I'm told the attention span of anybody who's on the internet, that's all they've got. But it turns out, no, we were nervous, like, oh God, this one is 7 minutes. Oh my God, Meryl Streep, it's 19 minutes, but where do we cut? And it turns out, no, people will actually watch just two people talking for 10 minutes at a time.
That's what
you know.
vlogs are based on, and so instead of you trying to create something that would be on TV, you created it for what the web would like.
Right, and
Yeah, but
people are
imagine if
watching
you had an
movies.
insanely funny vlog. That's, when you watch most vlogs, you're like, these people are so sad. But when you watch this show, you're like, thank God all these people are in on the sad. You know, like it's the idea. It is such a fantastic show, and the energy you get out of everybody on it, they all seem like they're having a blast.
Yeah.
And it feels like, and correct me if I'm wrong, since they're improvising, since you're like, do whatever you want, they bring their A game, because nobody's going to be like, oh, you know what I want to do? Suck. No, they want to like be
I
fantastic.
know, and we have an editor, so that helps.
Right.
But no, I mean, we come up with the outline for the story, and the stories can be a little convoluted, especially if I have something to say about it. So it's not
okay, I'm
great
here
when
with
I
you.
win, but you know, mostly we talk to them about like, what would you like to change? Because they have to be comfortable. And I think every good director anyways, they know that when you're working with an actor, you win if they're really comfortable, right? So, right? Yeah. But so
I've heard that.
I'm not a director, but yeah. So we do try to tailor it, and then like whatever else you know you want to do, and just.
But how did it
let's
change
go to
then in
town.
the adaptation to TV?
It didn't.
Oh,
It's
really?
the great thing.
Yeah.
We were nervous, like, oh, it's only 17 minutes long. They thought that was the big like scary thing that happened. Showtime said, yes, we'll license it. And we went, great. Oh God, we can't just do the 3 webisodes, like the 3 sessions. You know, we thought one episode would be just Lily Tomlin, but those things, they turned out to be 17 minutes long. They're like, no, we need the full half hour, 28 minutes or whatever it is. So then we just thought we'd shoot other interstitial stuff. And the other realization was these aren't scenes. They weren't, you know, they weren't produced as scenes, they're pieces. So that's why we decided to do title cards in between every piece, and that it seems to be acceptable.
Here's my question. It seemed like, if I'm looking from an outside point of view, the comeback, was it meant to go more than one season, or it happened once and that was it?
No, we were hoping we would do more.
So it felt like you went through a process with other people and you're like, man, we could have kept going. This was, again, I can't overstate it. It is a genius piece of program. It is
Thank
right
you.
shoulder to shoulder with Ricky Gervais's office,
Oh,
like in
thank
terms
you.
of that. Watch it. It's so good, but
I feel like he's encouraging you to bring it back.
I do. No, it's.
We
you
would,
can.
I mean, we'd love to, but it's not ours to make that decision.
Call it
It feels like
the return.
Web therapy came from a little bit of frustration from that, where you're like, I'd rather work with friends, do whatever we want. We'll do it online. Nobody can kill it. Nobody could say, like, you're not going to go beyond this. And in
Right.
doing that, like, you were able to be like, you know what? I'm not going to chase it on TV. We'll do it right here.
Yeah.
You wind up going back to TV. You perfect doing what you want.
Yeah.
And it seemed like it benefited from coming from a year of really great programming where they were like, we're not going to do it again. You're like, we got to put this energy into something else. And you produce
I
something
wish I were
equally as
that
good.
brave and
wasn't
you know,
that.
optimistic and together and intact. But it actually, yes, I think there was definitely a relationship for me anyway between the comeback being canceled and what? Why? Really? Oh no, I can't trust this system, you know,
Right.
because that's, I think, the best that I can do. So now what? And I think I was way too scared to even attempt to go to a network or even, you know, a premium cable channel with any idea or anything. So this was so crazy. And we knew you can't, web therapy is not pitchable. It's not saleable. It's just, you can't walk into anyone's office and say, it's 2 people on a computer screen. How many do you want?
Right.
You know, there's no way anyone would buy that. So yeah, it just seemed safe. Like, this will be safe because it is really different. And I think you can get away, you used to be able to get away with really different on HBO or Showtime or one of those. But this is really different. And I think the only place we can potentially get away with it is on the internet. So
Then also you prove
that's
the
why.
model. I mean, half of it is just proving it. And half the time, even if they wouldn't get it, they're like, whoa, but I see it now. Oh, I get it.
Yeah,
Right?
sometimes it's for years we've been trained as entertainers, once you get in this business, that you have to go hat in hand. It was particularly weird for me to put that shirt on because I came from a world of like, I'll put it on credit cards because nobody's going to give me the money to do it. And back in those days, we were the indie generation that was like, we're indie, we're so fucking indie, we're indie, back off, we don't need your help, we're indie. Until we finished the movie, and then we're like, can you buy it, please?
Right.
And so
Yeah,
suddenly
yeah.
you were part of
No,
the machine.
yeah.
You weren't truly indie. That's why the new generation of YouTube kids are truly indie. They don't really need a studio. They don't need a television show.
Right. You have to make your budget. I mean, just like everyone in life, if you want a stress-free life and be able to manage your life, you have to try to create a budget that you can, you know, live on. Like, you know, decide what your needs really are.
Right.
And then chop that in half. And, but it's true, yeah, no, there's no money to be made, by the way, in, you know, what we're doing.
I want to talk about, there's new business models though emerging. Wait, but
Okay.
before we get into that,
The one
deep
person who's
question.
making money? bring him
There
out.
are. Bernie's going to tell us about how he's making money. We're going to go to Jay Mewes, who's with the fans in the fan chat. Tweet us your questions, #Future of TV.
Do that. do that.
That's
This
a
is
very
from the
sultry
audience, though.
voice.
This is for Lisa. Are there any more internet shows on the horizon for you?
For me to be in, no. Not right now.
I have another one from the audience. This
Okay.
one's pretty, as people say, no, this won't monetize, but it does pay. What is the one lay factor in financial success? This one blows my mind.
What's
but
the one
hopefully
what
one of you guys
factor?
can answer it.
What's the one what
The
factor?
one-way factor to financial success.
It says people say, no, this won't monetize, but it does pay. What is the one lay factor in financial success?
The one lay factor?
One key factor.
Oh, one
Key
key
factor,
factor.
that's what it says.
Thank you.
But I swear it says L-A-Y here. It says L-A-Y.
Oh, someone wrote it down.
It wasn't me, I swear.
They wrote down the wrong key.
The dude in the audience is like, that was my question.
I mean,
Autocorrect.
you know,
Yeah.
I have to say the old model for us anyway, for web therapy is the key to any financial success. It's getting, that's what was crazy to me, is that, you know, the way for it to like make any money at all is to get back on TV and then into the foreign market.
Right.
And then hopefully you ever make enough of them and then you can sell them to TV. You know, that's the to me the crazy thing, and I don't know how much longer that's gonna last anyway.
What was, and you got, there's Lexus money behind
Yeah,
it
but
or
didn't
something?
you
Like,
get
I always
some
see a logo
sponsor
at the
brand
end.
money at first?
Yes, because Lexus had their own broadband channel, L Studio.
Yeah.
Right.
And then they were underwriting the production for web therapy.
Right.
Yeah. So.
All right, well, this continues. We've got one more member of our content creator super panel coming right up. But we want to hear from you, of course. Give us a shout with the hashtag Future of TV, all of you here watching. Jay will ask your question live, and our next panelist created the longest running web series in history, Red vs. Blue, and is one of the founders of Austin, Texas production studio Rooster Teeth. Their new series is the animated Ruby, officially premiering the 3rd annual Rooster Teeth Expo this July in Austin. Here's a first look at the trailer. Give it up for Burnie Burns. That's you.
Hey guys, nice to see you.
This is a great way to, you know, round out this panel because you actually have been making a living, a career. You've built a whole business model around web and digital.
Yeah.
So I feel like this is really interesting to show how you got there because you have one of the longest running web series around.
We have the benefit of coming from old media into new media, so we bring a bit of a long tail. But you had to start from scratch, man. What is that like?
Well, we had to start in an era too before YouTube, before people even knew what that was. We had to teach people how to watch video online. And then the other idea back then was if you get enough traffic and get enough views, there's this idea that the ad truck just shows up at your house. That doesn't happen. And you have to find ways to sell stuff and how to make money.
Does it show up now?
No, well, it does a little bit with YouTube. I mean, they make it easier, and there's other people out there like Blip and other video servers out there. But yeah, in those days, no, there was no ads. You had to go out and sell banner ads and stuff like that.
So how did you make it something worthwhile? Like, I mean, you create some great high quality content. So how were you making it sustainable for you? Like,
Well,
how
I
were you
started
doing
in
it?
basically the wake of people like Kevin Smith and Rodriguez. I'm come from Austin, and Rod Rodriguez had met El Mariachi a few years before I went to UT, and so there you go. It was this great idea that you could make a film for $7,000 and get into a film festival and set the world on fire. I was a computer science student, and so I didn't want to take film classes. So I said, if I want to learn how to make a movie, I'll just make a fucking movie. So I went down, found a film student who wanted to do that with me. We shot a 16mm feature. It took us a year to shoot it. And then I thought we were done. I thought that was the end of it. But no, we spent, and you're probably both familiar with this process, we spent another year trying to get into film festivals and trying to get it seen. And it was that process of basically trying to convince 5 people to let you show it to 200 people. That's basically what that breaks down as. And then we made a goof. We made a parody of the Apple Switch ads, those old Apple Switch commercials. We put that online. It went viral. All of our friends saw it in the first day before we could even tell them that we had put it online. And they called us and said that. And we said, well, what the hell are we doing this, trying to get distribution through other people for?
Yeah.
Let's just do it ourselves. That was 2003. And so, yeah, April 1st. Yeah, April 1st will be our 10th anniversary we've been doing this stuff.
Wow, congrats.
Awesome.
How have you seen it evolve over time? Like what web video and interactive TV was then to where we're at now?
It's all different. There's always different stages. And when you guys talk a lot about business night. I mean, if you look at the way our company runs, there's all these different layers you can see from different eras of the ways that we were able to support the show. We always had this idea of we're not going to tell the audience how they have to support us. We're just going to give them every possible option. So like we had PayPal donate buttons at the beginning, which then turned into like, premium services. And back then, like the currency of the internet was T-shirts. And so in the wake of like shows like Homestar Runner and Flash cartoons that were out there back then, that's how they were making all their money, was through T-shirts. So we did the same thing.
Selling T-shirts?
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
That still wouldn't work, right? I mean, that's what you give away, no?
No, that's not what you give away.
It's not swag. And,
People still buy T-shirts?
People still buy DVDs too. I'm amazed by that because we keep hearing that DVDs are going to stop, but yeah, we still sell DVDs.
They didn't finance Friends with T-shirts?
You're right.
That would be amazing.
Yeah, T-shirts. I mean, T-shirt is kind of the currency of the internet. It still is a little bit, man.
Yeah,
but they've gotten way cheaper now.
Well,
too.
merchandise and all that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's always a component now. And then, it's got a little more sophisticated with YouTube where there was a long time when YouTube didn't share any of the money that they were making. They didn't have a partner program. And then they started to break it open. And now things like branded entertainment, companies want to get involved with people who are making cool content online. That gets, 30 million views. Freddie W. just had a Kickstarter.
Yeah.
He raised almost
broke the record.
$900,000.
Yeah.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
But that proves that you could do it yourself as long as you have the community. I mean, is it possible, though, to do what Freddie W. did or Louis C.K. if you're an up-and-coming artist?
Freddie W. is an up-and-coming artist, a lot would say.
Well, yeah, a lot would say. I guess it's the context because to some, like
He's
to
built
us,
his audience over time, and then he was just like, I'm ready to make my move. His audience has been behind, just like these cats. Your audience has been behind you for like 10 years now.
Yeah.
Tell them what you do for those watching who are like, I don't get it. The shorts, that sounds so like
No.
Tell them about the shorts, because this is fascinating.
And what Lisa was saying too about the attention span of the internet, that's changing a lot too. So basically what we do is, I thought I developed a method of animation. Turns out other people were doing it before me. But we have one of the most popular examples of a form of animation called Machinima, which is basically we take the 3D engines of video games and we use them to make shorts. In the case of the most popular show, it's Red vs. Blue. It's based on a video game, Halo. It looks like animation, but it's actually a lot more like live action, where we just have the characters run around and we actually control them in real time. We do rehearsals and takes and all that stuff. And then because all the characters look the exact same, we rely heavily on the writing and the characters and the acting. One of my favorite things is actually in the first season, because all this stuff is such niche entertainment, that tends to be the people who find it like it. You know what I mean? Otherwise, they just don't care about it and they move on.
Right.
So we got pretty universal good reviews, except for the Village Voice. And this guy blasted us. He said they're being irreverent, they're just being filthy, they're trying to be South Park, this and that. It's like these guys have obviously stumbled on technology. They have the ability to distribute to whoever they want. Why in the hell would they bother to make something like Clerks meets Star Wars? And I said, fuck, I'd watch Clerks meets Star Wars.
I tried to make Clerks meets Star Wars, man.
So I put that guy's quote on the back of all of our DVDs. Just to call out.
Amazing. We're going to go back to Jay Mewes, who is in the chat room right now. Tweet us with your hashtag #FutureOfTV.
All right, Burnie, this is from Bladester99. He said, what is next for Red vs. Blue?
Well, we just finished season 10. The clip that you just saw is our lead animator, Monty Ohm, is now doing his own production. And we're moving kind of back to the roots for Red vs. Blue season 11. Going to go back to the classic characters in Blood Gulch.
You're my hero, man. Like that, you guys, your generation is doing like what we dreamed about doing. We were like, we want to be independent, but we weren't. Ultimately, we sold out. You guys truly are independent, and you're doing it from a great place of like, this is what we love to do. And also, you were like, look, I could wait for somebody else to give me some loot, or I could build what I want over here. 10 years later, you have a long enough tail that you're sitting next to Shira Lazar or Lisa Kudrow. That's pretty
And Kevin
dope.
Smith too. Don't forget himself.
You were always gonna be sitting next to me at like a McDonald's or something. But it's such a neat thing. Like you are true independent. You're the voice of independence to me. Like that's what I dreamed about doing. Is what you guys are doing now. Self-sustenance and just doing the stuff that you love. Building your own brand and keeping it going. Like I needed the help of Miramax, the Weinstein Company, to do that. You guys are building your own little worlds with characters and a following and stuff on the backs of nothing else. So I find that so insanely admirable.
Well, thanks,
That's
man.
great.
Thanks.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Do you like run Matrix and do research and all that stuff? Like, what's the age group of your audience, and do you like know everything about
Yeah,
your
and
audience?
because we're so involved on the internet too, there's also companies that do that all the time for us. Like there's ComScore.
Do you have to pay them to do that?
No, sometimes it's publish it.
do
In the case of
I don't
ComScore,
know.
you do, yeah.
I don't know how it works.
You toss them a T-shirt and
But do you think, you know, and you
do it.
saying like we're all independent, and even us, like we're creating what we're creating because no one give us the opportunity to. But what's the future? I mean, in the end, don't you think traditional, as long as they see something successful, will want to work with all these new media stars? And we see that happening now as more like Time Warner Cable just invested in Maker, 36 million. So. You know, will we be able to maintain that independence, or where does that leave the creativity of it and the whole space and everything?
Well, no. Because, I mean, this might not be nice, but once you start throwing money at people, and you were talking about it before, and then you become a little beholden to the mortgage and the things.
Yeah.
And then as you get older, and the children and the things that they need, and you know, that's when you have to really do a gut check about, like, what is it that I want to do, and how much do I need, and, you know.
Well, I mean, it's
easy for me to say. I was on Friends. Meanwhile, yeah.
But no, it's interesting because we always say like, oh, I'm interested to see our favorite vloggers, like where they are when they're 40 years old or 50 years old.
Yeah, it'd be interesting. I mean, like Lisa said, money doesn't come for free. It always comes with something or some kind of expectation. And they usually hold some money back to make sure they get their expectations met. Usually is the way it works. But I think as long as people continue to make the kind of stuff that they would watch themselves, I just think a lot of people are finding on the internet, there's a lot of people out there like them. You know, I feel like there's people out there like me, people like Kevin, people like Lisa, they're gonna watch the stuff that they're gonna make because they would watch what they make.
And how do you manage everything in terms of, you know, it's like we're just not creating these days. We're managing social media accounts. It's not just about being creator and talent. You need to be almost doing it all. You have your own Twitter account for your character even.
Well, that's because I thought it would be fun.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. So
That's
how does
why.
that all connect, and how do you manage that all?
You
in your
manage
own
it well
experiences?
and you connect it all if you love doing it, as she
Yeah.
said. Like the only reason to do it, some people do it for brand management. There are companies that will do it for you, tweet for you, Facebook for you, for brand management. But the best stuff, the stuff that connects, is when they can tell that the creator is doing it themselves. And the reason they're doing it is because they love their shit so much. They just want to sit around and talk to strangers about it and stuff. They'll take hours out of their day to listen to these
You
strangers.
tweet your pictures from when you were a kid and everything.
Yeah, like today to pimp this, I was like, how do I get a little attention for that? So I'll throw up a Facebook picture of me when I was 10 years old, so I used a child to pimp this show. But it was, stuff like that. But you do it because you like it, not because, like, honestly, some mornings I get up, I go downstairs to my office from my bedroom and stuff, I smoke, and I try to find the right picture. I smoke a lot. Try to find the right picture to put up, man. Like, usually if it's a picture of my kid, I found this. If I put up a picture of my kid playing bass guitar, it's like instantly 10,000 likes. And then I get up and go down to my bedroom and I tell my wife, like, I'm done for the day. And then, because I felt like I've reached a lot of people, man. Like, and I didn't have to spend a dime to do it. I just sat downstairs, opened up a little bit. And that's, your social media should be about you. It shouldn't necessarily be about, like, you know, I know I use my Twitter a lot for, like, hey, come see this event. Hey, click on this to watch this or something like that. But it's the back and forth with the audience, and when they can tell that you're into it, man, it's not a problem to manage it. It's all part of the whole.
Well, how do you manage it? Because I feel like you're the actress here, you know, an actor, and you've been in such traditional projects.
She's
and
the only actress. And the only actor.
Yeah. But how do you, I mean, what is your take on social media and how much you reveal versus like what you do with it, with your work and promoting what you're doing?
Right. I mean, for me, what's fun is tweeting as Fiona Wallace, unless I don't feel like doing it, and then I don't do it.
It's fine.
Because I'm not, I mean, I know there's a part of me that understands I'm supposed to try to acquire as many followers as I possibly can, for some reason. But, you know, but
It's like high school all over again. Like, be popular.
Right, but as soon as you like get to the prom, oh no, everyone's somewhere else now.
Yeah.
It's like, why aren't you on Instagram? I can't keep up, and that's over probably right now, right? Is it? I don't know.
What is now that you said it?
You need like social media
I
therapy.
I killed it. I said it. I'm too old. I killed it because I said it.
People like Kudrow talking about Instagram. It's over.
That's exactly right. But yeah, so I don't manage it, and I don't. I don't know what to say. I get a little uncomfortable when I see some people trying to, you know, because that they think it's important, and I'm just not sure exactly what it translates to. I just know that Ashton Kutcher had, you know, 11 billion people following him. Then he did a movie, and still no one went.
Yeah, that's absolutely true.
Yeah, that's true.
That's absolutely true. I think the movie opened at like $35,000. Yeah.
It did, yeah.
No, not because of him. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that it didn't. That's not. You know, people still want to see a movie that they know it's going to be good. I mean,
Well,
it
it
really
goes back to
comes
good
down
content.
to the
That
content.
goes back to
But
just
also,
good.
it's
It
like a
always
lot of
will,
people
and that's what's
they're happy
good.
to read that guy going like, "Hey man, here's Demi at the home." Well, back when they were married, "Hey man, I'm doing this." But if he's like, "Hey man, go see my movie," they're like, "Well, what's the movie about?" And he's
Right.
like, "I play a pimp or a hustler." And at that point, they're like, "I like reading your tweets. I'm not going to go see that movie." I bought that movie though because I read his tweet, so it worked on me.
Oh, it did,
And I don't
okay.
even follow him, man. Somebody sent me his tweet, and I was just like, "Ooh, he plays a
So Jay, what's going on? I know you're on our fan chat, #Future of TV, roaming through the stream.
Yes, I have. This is for any one of the panel members. It's from Ben Rothing. What kind of pushback do you guys see from old media trying to cling on to the old ways?
I don't think it is, as to borrow from Burnie here. I don't think it is a real red versus blue. I don't think old media is like, how do we conquer this new media? I think they're just trying to figure out how to coexist. They're trying to figure out how to steal from it, man. Anytime I'm doing something for TV, people go, "Hey man, can you talk to one of those YouTube kids into it?" And you just want to tell them, like, they don't need this. They don't need your audience and stuff. But I don't think it's one going like, how do we hold the other back? How do we conquer it? I think they're just like, how do we copy their success? Just like anything else. Anybody's always going to look at something successful and be like, ooh, how do we do that now?
I think probably, and let me just say this, I don't know what I'm talking about.
Okay.
But
Thanks, at least for prefacing it.
Take notes.
But I think what would make everyone the most nervous is Netflix having just done House of Cards.
Yeah.
And it feels to me, but I don't know what, you know, age group that doesn't have any meaning
A
for
lot of us
anyone
have
that
watched
cares.
it, let me tell you.
But yeah,
All
that
age
everyone's
groups.
talking about
Yeah.
it, and that, you know, who knows how well it actually is, to how that translates to money. They can sell it overseas and all of that. But I think that's the thing that might be a little scary.
She claims not to know anything. She knows everything.
Hey,
But I don't know if I'm right.
No, you keep hitting all the major points. Like
I am?
that movie
Okay.
that came out, the
There you
Ashton
go.
Kutcher movie, that was Spread. He had
Spread. I
he had
bought it.
2 million followers
Yep.
at the time, and I think he made 35,000 at the box office. I mean, wonder how do you not move 2 million Twitter followers to go see you in a movie?
Because you don't
That
have to
number's
pay
never
$10
real, though.
Yeah.
to read a tweet. And
And-
it's a different activity. You're
Well, I think
right.
it's
I'll
also-
read your tweets,
Yeah.
but that doesn't mean I want to see what that guy wrote and that guy directed, and you happen to sign up for it. you
And I think
know?
it's also we're talking about telling stories on different platforms and what platforms works and what's the future of it all, right?
Yeah, but that Twitter number is never real. You know, it's not.
Oh.
A lot of people go, "Hey man, you got like 2.3 million Twitter followers," and it's not like if I was like, each one of you send me $1, $2.3 million would come through. There are people that follow you one day and then never return. People who tried out Twitter for like a red hot minute and moved on.
Oh, and never
So-
saw the tweet about go see Spread.
No,
Okay,
exactly.
got it.
That's what
So
happened.
that was only 10 people.
Or
saw
they all
that.
follow him for different reasons too.
There are a lot
Totally.
of young people watching and other people, not just young people, but a lot of people that are watching and then saying, and saying, how, you know, as a content creator, I have an idea, I have a show, but how do I get it seen? How do I launch that and make it successful and get it seen with all the noise out there?
Do what he did.
So what advice- I wanna go through all of you,
Don't
like, what
ask
advice
for
can you
any
give?
help. Go out and do it. Like the moment you're asking the question, how do I? You're not going to make it. Like the people who make it never ask how. They just do it. They figure out how. If you're asking somebody for a solution, then you're way behind the curve.
But
So-
don't you still have to work at sort of promotion, getting enough people to know that it's there? That seems to be the strategies that
But these
flummox
cats
people.
started from the ground up. Like
Yeah.
with me, my movie got bought by a studio that was owned by Disney, so I had help. This cat started from like the earth. How did you build an audience?
But I mean, your movie,
The very earth.
I mean, your movie is one of the ultimate independent film success
Stop blowing me and tell your story.
We were talking about this before. Your movie, Clerks, never showed in more than 50 screens at any one point in time.
True.
And it still was a huge hit. So the problem I think people have today is that they put out a stat, YouTube put it out, that every single minute, 72 hours of footage are uploaded to YouTube. Oof. That means if you wanted to watch every video on YouTube, you would fall 3 days behind every minute you try to do that. So how do you it's like YouTube makes so much of its own noise, how do you fall above that? And you gotta try different stuff. But like you said, you gotta start working, you gotta start, and if you don't, something doesn't get out there and doesn't get seen, you're at least working on your craft and honing your craft.
Yes.
Right, that's what I say to my son, who's only 14. And does little, does things and he puts them on YouTube. And I keep telling him, no, this is where you're honing your craft. This is not your career right now. But maybe I'm wrong. I mean,
but
maybe
who knows?
14,
it's about working on your craft to get
career.
to your career.
Well, there's a story behind anything. And you gotta have faith that if you put something out there and it's true to you, there'll be people like you that'll want to find it.
If it's true to you, if it's true to you.
Yeah.
There's a huge.
I just yelled at my son.
There's a huge.
I felt like you were trying to end the show. It's true to you. Looking right into camera like, so goodbye.
That's
We're
your
not
vlog.
done, man.
That's your vlog for the night. If it's true to you, stare into the camera, Lisa.
I was looking at my son. He's sitting right next
That's adorable, man.
That is really cute.
What are you doing here? Go make something.
The camera is on you.
Sorry,
right now.
I'm
sorry.
I'm sorry.
Well, there is. I mean, listen.
He's gonna go on YouTube tonight and be like, I hate my mother.
There is a huge curation issue going on right now, and like, how do you source what's good versus what's not good? So
it's good and bad are relative, right? Yeah. Like you can watch a clip and be like, this is ridiculous. Jason Mewes, every day, seemingly for the last 2 years, comes to me with like, can you believe there's a clip of this lady eating cinnamon and it hurts her mouth and it's got 10 million views.
The cinnamon challenge.
He's outraged like an old man, like, get these YouTube kids off my lawn. He doesn't quite understand. I'm like, I don't know, who can say, man? Like you sit there watching it, it's like maybe a minute long and you're like, all right, I get it. It's not a huge commitment of time. I get to watch what happens if you eat a mouthful of cinnamon. That's something good to know for the future.
Yeah. No, but that's what everyone wants to know. Like, how do we make that last? How do you stretch it out and then make money off it? And you don't. That's not the point. The point is that you go on, you find these amusing things. I mean, entertainment is supposed to just entertain you and distract you for a temporary period.
Mm-hmm. And you're never going to compete with that stuff. You're never going to compete with the one-off video of the day, like the cat falling off the roof or the guy falling through the ice. You're never going to beat that, so you can't try to do that. You know, if you're trying to do something that's scripted and a series, you just have to stick with it for a period of time, and you'll never know where people find it either.
But that's what makes me nervous when I hear like studios or something saying, all right, what do we do so we can make this go viral? And whenever I hear, how do we make something go viral, I'm like, oh, well, you can't.
Yeah,
I don't know if you
can't be there. Yeah.
Can you make something go viral?
No, if you that's a recipe. If you could solve that, you'd have a lot more money than I do.
What were you saying about the long form? The audience is now growing into interest in long form on YouTube. Have you noticed? Have your episodes gone longer and people are still like, we're in?
Our episodes for other shows are, but we still, Red vs. Blue, we write it like a feature, we shoot it like a feature, then we just chop it up for segments for the web.
Right.
But I used to say you can't make an internet video more than 3 minutes, 3.5 minutes, that's it. But now people are watching 5 minutes, 8 minutes. I mean, we're on a live stream right now. I never thought the internet would be where people would tune into something live, but it's the big thing now. It's like everyone is interested in live streaming.
No, but people stopped watching.
Well, hopefully no one. We're at 52 minutes. So hopefully people have stopped watching. You guys have been great. Thank you so much for all your insight. You threw me in there. You were just waiting. Now, you've heard us talk on What's Trending with some of the biggest names in technology and innovation, and tonight we have a special treat to close out our discussion. Tim Jenison is a futurist and the founder of NewTek, the company whose technology has made this evening possible. Thank you. He's really a visionary force behind the desktop video revolution, which is crazy. Here's a look at an incredibly early interview with Tim from NBC Nightly News way back in 1992.
This is the production studio at KCNC Television. There's $750,000 of equipment in this room, all to make one picture blend with another in lots of different ways. But this effect was not done with all that fancy equipment. It came out of the Video Toaster, the company's $6,000 desktop version of a television studio.
The language of my generation is television, and the problem is nobody can speak it. You need to be a gazillionaire to have the tools to make television. So what we're trying to do is make it possible for ordinary Americans to make network quality television.
Please join me in welcoming Tim Jenison. It is truly an honor because back in 1990, and I have the quote you wrote, in the next 20 years, your favorite TV show will be made by you or someone you know. In 1990, you said that. I guess the main question is, like, how did you know this then?
Well, it seemed obvious to me. Well, first of all, it doesn't take all that many shows to make that come true because each person knows about 250 people. So it only takes about 1 million people making a show for that to be true, basically. But, you know, the trends were there. When I was a kid, I was into filmmaking and electronics.
Yeah.
We didn't have computers then, but we all fantasized about having computers. And I hung around TV stations when I was a kid. And I felt that those two things should come together, filmmaking and technology. And there was a moment where this sort of crystallized for me, where I realized that all this heavy equipment in a TV station, if you go in a control room, you know, it's like a cockpit, you know, and behind it there's 1 million wires. I realized that all that stuff was just processing information. Once it got out of the camera, it was just sort of manipulating it a little bit until it finally got to the transmitter. And I realized that a computer could do all of those things. And there was a sort of a magical moment in the late 80s when computers got just barely fast enough to process video. And then Moore's law that says, you know, computers get faster and faster all the time at a certain rate. All you have to do is apply those numbers and you go, okay, 3 years in the future, it's going to be plenty fast enough to do this, plenty fast enough to do that. And, you know, it's just been a great ride on Moore's law, you know, and now, you know, then...
So the data says it all. As long as you look at data, you could predict anything.
Well, I suppose so.
And now it brought you here where you created NewTek and TriCaster, and how easy it is now for really anyone to create their own programming and live stream it.
Yeah, that was the trick. I mean, it was really hard to set up all that equipment, even if you could afford, you know, to spend millions of dollars on it. There were only, you know, there were these high priests of video that could do all this stuff. So our first major adventure in video was the video toaster. This little system.
Toaster.
Yeah, it came out in 1990.
Okay.
And it let you hook up 4 cameras and do a live show.
In 1990?
Yeah, exactly. So you could fade between the cameras, you could do special effects, you could put titles on. And it was just, you know, hundreds of times cheaper than the big iron that was in the TV station. And that's what kind of set off this revolution in video production.
And so now where do you see it now, since you did make those predictions way back when? What are you seeing the current trends, and where will we be, you know, in 20 years?
20 years is a long time in technology, but you know, you can see TV technology changing, and people that sell television sets are, you know, talking about 3D and 4K and 8K, more and more resolution. And, you know, I don't think the technology of viewing has all that much effect on storytelling. And that's kind of one of the lessons, you know, of the last 20 years, is that people that have an idea and can tell a story, they can make a successful show. They don't need that gatekeeper, that network or that studio to make it happen. So I think storytelling will probably be just about the same in 20 years, but it may look more like a holodeck, you know.
Yeah, holograms.
Yeah. So holograms, it turns out, are very, very hard to make a TV set with, but there is a technology called light field imagery that will, in 20 years, will probably let us experience a holodeck in our home.
So you could literally feel like Kevin Smith is there.
Well, you wouldn't be able to feel Kevin Smith, but you know.
Or Lisa Kudrow. Let's talk about the women.
Think of the possibilities there. But it's you know, you would be immersed in it, and it doesn't take much extrapolation to figure that out. But I think the real, for me, what's important is that we make it easier and easier to do this process. You know, and And video game technology is, we use it in the TriCaster. And it's what makes it possible to do all this stuff on the computer. We're not playing a video game, but we're taking advantage of that technology. That technology is just going to continue to go nuts. And so right now we can have video game quality on our screen, but in the near future we'll start to have real studio quality, things that they take hours and hours and days to render. That'll all happen in real time. It will fool your eye. You will believe you are seeing reality.
Well, we're seeing it right now. So thank you for making this all a reality for all of us and empowering us all as artists, filmmakers, creators. Tim Jenison, thank you for being here tonight. Thanks to NewTek for providing the technology that makes this and all of our What's Trending live streaming shows possible every single day, and for making, my dreams a reality and what I love doing. Be sure to join us again right here on youtube.com/What's Trending this Sunday, February 17th at 3 p.m. Pacific time for a live broadcast of the Streamy Awards. Hosted by Chris Hardwick. That's going to be a lot of fun. Thanks also to our amazing panelists tonight. We got Kevin Smith, Lisa Kudrow, Burnie Burns, the great Jason Mewes for helping us out and asking questions live. And thanks to all of you for watching. The crowd here today. In the studio, outside, at home, I love you all. I'm Shira Lazar. Have a good night. Mwah, 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 mwah. Bye. Subscribe.